Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Alex with his movie, 4 Nights in a Fire. Let's take a look at the clip.
I'm going to some place. I couldn't tell you where. Some days I don't want to. Some days I want to turn around. But you're still here.
Haunting me.
Alex, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your film to us at New Filmmakers, but welcome to the NFMLA family.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
We'll never let you go.
Yeah.
No, really, I'm so glad that you made this film. It was a film that actually had a lot of our audience last night very moved, and we got so much fantastic reaction. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, it's a very personal story. It's about a young Ojibwe photographer who's performing the sacred fire ceremony for his late father. And he's going out into the woods where he used to hunt and making this fire, keeping it alive for 4 straight nights, and guiding a spirit to the afterlife. And so it's like it's a ghost story, essentially.
Yeah, but it's a ghost story. Well, obviously, I did actually watch it by myself. I did get a little bit, spooked out. But it's also a beautiful ritual, as well. That was a wonderful way to celebrate life of obviously a very hard loss. Where did the inspiration come for you making this story?
Yeah, it started as a poem, actually, and I'm by no means a poet, but it's just sort of how it came out, because like the emotions were so raw. Even though he'd passed many years ago, it was sort of like a reflection on all of my grieving and my journey of grief.
Yeah.
And so it came out that way, and as I was writing it, I started to realize there were 2 perspectives within the poem that were emerging, obviously mine, and then also like I started to think about like, what were the last moments of my father? What was he thinking about? And like things like that. And so that the poem ultimately became the voiceover of the film, and that sort of became the framework, as well as the ritual you mentioned, and like the keeping the fire alive. So those 2 ideas sort of merged together, and yeah, I just wanted it to be not really saying goodbye to my father, but just like keeping him alive and sort of sending him off in this way, while sort of like honoring him and the tradition as well.
I mean, it's so beautiful to actually honor through tradition as well. Like there's something extremely powerful about this, and just being out in the open as well, in nature, in the wilderness, and taking that time to actually grieve and go through those motions. I just want to say thank you so much for making such a personal story and making it universal. Now you filmed this in like what seemed like a beautiful like location. Now it's not easy making exterior shoots, especially in different times of day, especially involving trees and water and sounds. Like, how was that experience location-wise for you?
Yeah. In the Q&A last night, I told the story, and I'll tell a similar story today, wherever we are. So I wanted to shoot on the south shore of Lake Superior, Minnesota, Wisconsin, on my reservation. And because of the parameters of the shoot, like it was going to be, negative 20 degrees, a foot of snow. And so we had to pivot and find a place that felt like that place. And then finding ways like adding a loon cry to make it feel like you're in that space. And so we found a place on Cherokee Nation, east of Tulsa. And it was just this beautiful state park with it right on this lake. And we just got so lucky to have this beautiful location. And yeah, it was still very cold. And yeah, there was a blizzard a few days before, and it got a little crazy. But yeah,
what's that feel like? Being. I mean, it must feel very powerful. Like obviously sharing this tradition like within your own family and your own experience and your own culture, but then being on reservation as well. Does it feel extra powerful doing it on a reservation particularly as well, because it's got true to the meaning of what the story's about?
Yeah, it was really special. I think that like I would say over 50% of our like producing team and cast and crew, there was all like a very native centric team, and coming from different tribes and just like coming together to sort of, and that just made it so special unto itself. And like people, and like you said, it's such a universal film, and that was sort of the goal, is sort of like like how do we all grieve? Like how does this all work? Like how do we feel about it? And reflecting on that, and yeah, just having a lot of people that you trust and feel safe with. Like that was a big part of it, creating this safe space for such vulnerable emotions to be captured in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other thing that was really special is that it was an actual father and son cast.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, and so the son character was a well-trained theater actor, and we had met right around the time I got the first grant for the film, and so I just took him out for coffee, pitched him the story, and he loved it. And I kind of casually asked him, I was like, "What's your dad up to?" And he kind of lit up, and he's like, "My father had always wanted to act. He was a stand-up comic when he was younger."
What?
And it was just like beautiful thing. And I was like, "We have to cast him if he's
yeah.
interested."
Yeah.
And then and I was just like, "This will enhance the film so much more." And that was probably the best decision I made the whole time, because it's like we had so many meetings leading up for like 2 months. Every week we'd meet and we'd talk about the script, and they'd bring their own experiences and memories to it. And then like that is where they found all the emotions for it. It became no longer my story, and that's, I feel like, how films become universal, because you have to share and be vulnerable in the space to get the film even made in the first place. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I owe them the world. I mean,
That's an amazing story, though. It's a
Yeah.
really fantastic story that, you know, I mean, again, it kind of proves so much emotion, but, you know, it was really well directed. Like the kind of essence of where you took us and the journey you took us on with this was really, really powerful. What was the hardest thing about making this project? What challenges did you face?
I mean, mostly the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, besides all the obvious stuff, like, I mean, money is always a thing, and like production woes and stuff, and like I was planning it from LA and trying to wrangle all these people to go to Oklahoma, like all that stuff kind of comes with it a little bit. But yeah, there was this big blizzard 2 days before we were gonna shoot, after, you know, everything. And so we were like, okay, are we gonna have to push the shoot? And then all of a sudden you lose all these, like all the equipment and stuff, you have to rebuild the whole thing. You know, you're praying and hoping that all these pieces come together right at the right moment. And then it just just as fast as the snow came, it went away. And it was still like, you know, 10, 15 degrees and overnight shoots for 3 days. So it was still completely, utterly, you know, challenging and lots of layers. But it felt warm because of the community that we sort of had brought. And we had a camper too.
A camper?
We had like a heated camper
cool.
to go hide out into. It just felt like a nice little, just felt like a couple of sleepovers in a row, and bringing all your friends and gathering around the fire. You know, it just felt like that. Yeah.
No, I really love that. That's wonderful that you made an experience of it on set as well, obviously. You know, I think it's always amazing when you've taken something that is ignited by you and what you've been through, you turn that into a film, you put the film out there, and now all of a sudden it becomes everybody else's experience as well. Like, how has that journey been for you, taking this to festivals, taking it on the road? What's the reaction been like for you?
Yeah, I think the other thing that was really hard to answer this question as well is that I think one of the hardest parts is going from like writing it to then making yourself vulnerable to even share it at that stage. And then once you share it with one friend, 2 friends, 3 friends, and then a producer, I feel like then you sort of warm up to like, oh, this feels like something. And so once I got over that, then and started to feel like, oh, that like people immediately start talking about their loss and their grieving process, and it just opens up this conversation. And then throughout the making of the film, and then also in the festivals, as you say, it's continued to be that. And so the catharsis sort of like comes with each screening. And so like last night was really powerful and such a receptive audience. And the best reaction I've got that's like a great soundbite is that somebody was sitting next to me that I had just met at that festival a couple months ago. And we had met, we're talking before, and then after the screening, they turned to me and was like, your film was like a prayer. It feels like a very spiritual experience. Cause like a lot of times what happens is like some films you get a big reaction, like some of the other ones in our screening, but my film tends to suck the air out of the room and it gets really quiet. So it's hard to know how people are feeling, but then after they come up and they're like, oh, this is very personal, and that feels personal to them. And I think that's sort of the exchange and feedback.
That's job done.
Yeah,
right?
job done.
Like,
job
seriously,
done.
well done.
Yeah.
What's next for you, Alex?
Yeah, so I've written a feature that's still a work in progress, but I'll share a little bit about it. It's sort of expanding upon this world, and so there's some of the same characters, but it's about an Ojibwe son, sort of like the son character, and he's taking care of his dementia-stricken grandmother. So it's expanding on the family, and it's leaning a little bit more into the horror like this is more of a drama, and like now there's horror elements of like the ghost is still haunting both of them in a unique way, but they're trapped because of this earthquake, and he's trying to like, it's about like loss of culture, loss of memory, and trying to preserve it and dealing with loss as it's sort of unfolding in front of you.
Wow, you are always going to take us to the depths of
I
emotion.
hope not.
Yeah,
not all,
no,
but that's
I
just where
love
I'm going
that.
right now. And
I
yeah.
love that. This is a very, I mean, it's a great, I mean, I'm already want to watch the film. So
Oh, yeah,
I'm like,
appreciate
please,
that.
bring make it.
Yeah.
When are you hoping to do it? Like, are you still in the writing process right now?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much still in the writing process. I just completed a draft in this lab
Congrats.
this fall. So yeah, very excited to keep working on that and make it. So.
And, you know, just to finalize, it's hard being a filmmaker at times, but it's also the most gratifying thing in the world. For you, what things do you go by in your creativeness? Like, what the filmmakers out there, is there any kind of information, words that you could share that sort of helps you in your day as an artist to kind of spur us along?
Yeah, the thing that I always think about and reflect on is that I feel like the thing that's always helped me is like you find your film family. Wherever they are, they don't have to be the people right next to you, but like with this film, I really wanted to push myself and find those people that shared both expertise and also passion. And so it was like a mixture of like old friends and new friends, and just like getting them all together and making it feel that way. And then I think then you're all, and like talking to every single person on your crew and getting them invested and empowering them to do what they want to do even within your project. And then I feel like that always creates, I feel like, the best
Yeah,
film. So that's I stumbled into that through,
Yeah.
you know, this project.
Yeah,
And
finding your film family, that is a very, very important piece of advice. Well, listen, we're so thankful for what you brought to us, Alex. Thank you for bringing your film to us. We're ready for the next projects, but thank you and welcome to the New Filmmakers family.
yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alex, everybody.